On January 1st, 19 states will increase their state's minimum wage. So that'll bring the total of 50 to states that do not pay a livable minimum wage.
As a business owner, I'm not really worried about minimum wage increasing because I already pay people well above minimum wage. And if you are a business owner who's concerned about an increased minimum wage affecting your business, ask yourself, why are you okay paying people the absolute bare minimum legally required? In fact, the only real impact that an increased minimum wage might have on my business is that more people could afford to come to it. If millions more people had a little bit more disposable income, then I might get more members here. We might have people being able to spend a little bit more on the things that they want to spend on instead of just the bare necessities. So I'm all for it.
Minimum wage has just been so low, and considering how much a lot of people's paycheck is just not keeping up to the cost of living, what people are supposed to be paid based on all the studies are way higher than the minimum wage. Someone could be working full-time with the minimum wage in any state and it's still not enough for them to live any normal life or be able to afford their living, because the rent is still going to be high, groceries are still going to be high, any other thing that you're trying to do is just too much.
So New York raising minimum wage to $16 an hour is actually a fucking joke. With groceries being hiked up, eggs is $8 by itself. Eggs is $8. Gas is high as fuck. Rent is high as fuck. And let's not talk about the motherfucking parking tickets. When is New Yorkers gonna stop accepting breadcrumbs? I'm alone drowning in parking tickets, and you say you're only gonna give us $16? A dollar raise? We need 25 or better. We live in New York. This is nothing about New York is cheap. $16 is not gonna keep the bills paid. We need more, and we need it now.
Someone please explain to me why the minimum wage isn't equivalent to the minimum cost of living? Like, isn't that the point of a minimum wage, is that it's the bare minimum? And isn't the bare minimum survival? And I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, I make minimum wage and I do just fine. I have housing, I have savings, I have all these things. Were you never relying on your family for anything? Have you never lived with your family as an adult? Have you never had their support? Because the state of this economy right now, and especially with how bad the job market is that most young people, most of Gen Z cannot get by without support from their family. Most of us are depending on our family for housing, for additional money support. Even when we have our own jobs, our lives are often dependent on other people helping us. Things are so bad for Gen Z and for millennials in this economy that the vast majority of us are dependent on the inheritances of our grandparents and of our parents to have any hope at ever having financial stability. That's where we're at. And the other piece of where we're at is that 40 to 60% of homeless people in America are employed. And imagine how much higher that percentage would be if people were all kicked out of their house automatically at the age of 18. If people were not allowed to get support from their family for housing, for money, we would all be homeless. Being able to have support from your family, to be able to live with your family, is a privilege as an adult, and it shouldn't have to be. It shouldn't have to be that that's the only way that we can live.
Minimum wage will go up for 22 lucky states, y'all, and just so happen ain't none of them down south. Come on, sip a little tea with Auntie. Let's talk about it. I know y'all gonna ask me the list, so let me give you the list of the names of the states that will be going up really, really quick. So, y'all, we got Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Florida, Hawaii, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Oregon, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Vermont, Virginia, and last but not least, Washington, y'all. The highest minimum wage is going to be $17.95, and that's going to be in D.C., y'all. These will take effect for most of the states I just called out on January 1, 2026, so you can expect to see a little extra on your paycheck. If you reside in the state of Alaska, Florida, or Oregon, of course, later on in the year, y'all minimum wage will take into effect, but it won't take effect January 1. So, a lot of these states will see some extra money. Too bad deep down in the South, we can't get nothing. This $7.25, I do understand before somebody get on this video because I know it's coming. Yes, the cost of living in these other places are a lot higher than they are down south. I get it. So of course, if stuff costs more, you deserve more. But us down here in Louisiana would like to see it go up from $7.25. I think the federal minimum wage shouldn't be $7.25. At least bump it up to $10 or something. People at McDonald's can make $10 now. At least put it to 10. But it's just my opinion. You entitled to yours. Thank y'all for sipping a little more tea when I ain't tea. Bye, y'all.
Axios is reporting that 19 states will raise their minimum wage starting January 1st. More than 8.3 million workers will see their pay go up January 1st. That includes both getting a direct increase and others indirectly affected when companies adjust wage ladders, according to an estimate from the Progressive Economic Policy Institute. The extra boost comes at a time when rising prices are particularly punishing for the lowest earners. Another 3 states, Florida, Alaska, and Oregon, are increasing their minimum wage later in the year. For the first time, there will be more workers in states with a minimum wage of $15 an hour or higher than those with the federal minimum of $7.25. Missouri and Nebraska will also cross the $15 milestone on January 1st. 4 states' minimum wage will rise to $17 or higher for some or all of their workers by the end of the year. These include Washington State, where the minimum is rising 2.8% to $17.33, New Jersey, which will have a wage floor of $18.92 for long-term care workers, and New York City, Long Island, and Westchester County in New York State, $17 for all workers. The 19 states that are raising their minimum wage on January 1st are Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Hawaii, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington State.
In a few days, it's going to be January 1st, 2026. And you mean to tell me your boss is going to let you enter a new year without giving you a pay raise? Psych. Your paycheck is about to get a big upgrade. Y'all bring it in. So a new report from the National Employment Law Project states that 49 cities and countries will raise their minimum wages by January 1st. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, hold up, man, that ain't everybody. You're right, because a lot of them said they will raise their minimum wage at some point in 2026. So in total, it will be 88 jurisdictions, 22 states, and 66 cities and countries that will raise their minimum wage at some point in 2026. Here's the list of the states that will raise their minimum wage on January 1st right here. Now, you might notice that Florida, Oregon, and Alaska is not on there because they say they're going to come later on and raise their minimum wage. Florida been doing a lot of things early this year, 2025, being the first to do this, the first to do this, first to do this. But all of a sudden, when it comes to this money, raising their minimum wage, you want to wait till September 2026 to raise it to $15? Hey, man, but I guess at least they're doing it, huh? But yeah, you see your state on there, man? That's your new minimum wage, man. That paycheck gonna get a little bump. Now, a lot of people don't know that the federal minimum wage has been at $7.25 since 2009. $7.25 has been the federal minimum wage since 2009. So that made a lot of states and cities start doing their own thing. You know what I'm saying? But that's the new minimum wages, man. And January 1st, if your state is on that list, the rest of y'all, if you don't see your state or city on there, man, 2026, just know you getting a bump on your minimum wage. This might be later. Big Duke out, man. Y'all thank me later.
I have noticed that some people who actually criticize like the raising of minimum wage, most of their angles and their issues is that they feel like if the minimum wage is being increased, then that's really automatically going to make prices of things to increase like in that particular state, and inflation, they just feel like it's just going to go so high and things will suddenly increase, and it's like as if the states that are not even receiving any increase in the minimum wage and places that are paying very shitty amounts. Either way, the price of things are so expensive. Rent is really high. And when we talk about the groceries, whatever you're purchasing, I'm telling you, everything is still expensive. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Like it just keeps going up higher and higher and higher. And people are complaining about it daily. So you're telling me that minimum wage being increased is going to make changes or will make something like, oh, things are just going to be so expensive. Either way, they're going to be expensive. Have employers trying to pay people shitty amounts, like they really do not want to increase people's paycheck, and the cost of living is just not keeping up. At the end of the day, like this whole, increase that people keep complaining and advocating for, like, oh, we need increase in minimum wage, is really not about people having like luxury. It's just a normal simple trying to survive, trying to make sure that we can buy things that are our daily needs. Like, minimum wage should always reflect today's cost of living, and that's just how it's supposed to be all the time. Like, how else will people be able to afford what's going on? Like, if things are so expensive, how will they afford it? But anyways, let me know what you think about this video in the comment section down below. That's it for this video. Make sure you please click the like button. It helps the algorithm, and I appreciate that so much. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you're watching me for the very first time. Hit the notification bell to get notified every time I post a new video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.